Hi, I'm Adam Blum. I'm the founder of the Gay Therapy Center. And this video is about how to have a successful open relationship. It's probably the number one issue we deal with here at the Gay Therapy Center. It's a hot topic. So how do you do this? How do you have a successful open relationship? Well, let me first let you know the data. The data shows us that about half of gay men in relationships are in open relationships and half are in closed relationships. And I wanted to start with that information because I think if you live in a big city on the coasts in the United States, you may be under the impression that everyone's having an open relationship. The data doesn't support that. So the data shows if you want open, if you want closed, both are available to you. There's something there for everyone. Sometimes I'm noticing that people who want to close relationships feel like they can't have that anymore, that it's no longer cool. The data shows that there are about half of you that want it, half of you don't. So both are good. You get to have what you want when it comes to this big decision. So what makes a good open relationship? Well, I'll tell you, the number one thing you're going to have to get good at is having conversations about your feelings. Now that's not so easy, right? Because I think as men we're socialized not to talk too much about our vulnerable feelings. This is an essential aspect of any open relationship. Yeah, we have to talk about with whom, when, how, what, those kinds of nuts and bolts decisions about how to have an open relationship. But more importantly, we got to talk about how do we process the issues of feeling hurt. It's tough stuff. But here's the truth. Open relationships push on what we therapists call the attachment system. This is a built-in system. All humans have it. It comes from childhood. And it basically means we want to feel safe and secure in relationships. You know, if a toddler isn't safely held in a relationship, he or she's going to die. So this is important stuff. It is built in. It is life and death in the human organism to feel safely attached. Well, open relationships are going to start to push on that key part of you. So how do we deal with that? Well, we learn how to process. And that's an essential skill, which we'll talk a little bit more about. How do we soften the hurt that's going to happen to the attachment system? Well, we're going to have to be very careful. We're going to have to be very loving to our partners. We're going to have to tell them how much we love them. We're going to have to give them lots of positive regard. We're going to have to get good at holding them physically and emotionally. We're going to have to check in with them regularly to soothe these feelings. And I would say the most important skill around soothing your partner's hurt is getting good at having a tough conversation and then feeling closer at the end of that conversation than you did at the beginning. If you can't do that, I predict that your open relationship is going to head for disaster, drama, destruction, and disaster. So get good at that first before you open your relationship. And essentially what that means is having a conversation with your partner without getting defensive. Can you encourage your partner to tell you things like when he's feeling jealous or insecure? Can you welcome that rather than getting defensive about that and feeling blamed? Can you push yourself to tell your partner when you're feeling insecure or jealous, even though you'd rather not say that? These are the essential conversations that have to happen. Otherwise, you'll keep this information in, it'll bottle up and come out in other ways that are not healthy. I'll tell you one of the biggest issues I see in open relationships that's a red flag, so I want you to avoid this. A lot of couples enter into open relationships because their sex life has gotten kind of boring over the years and they want to spice things up. Well, that's a red flag. Your open relationship is going to be so much more successful if, as you start talking about it, you're also working on your current sexual connection with your partner. Now, that can be hard to do. It's going to take courage to talk about sex with your partner in the current situation between you and him. How do we spice it up? How do we make it more creative? What's not working? Tough conversations, but really important conversations. can you be open to the idea that as we begin to open up the relationship, we'll also find a new way to re-find ourselves sexually, to get back the passion that we had at the beginning of the relationship? It is possible to do that. I see it happen every day, so don't give up on that. Don't think of an open relationship as a substitute for bad sex in your current relationship. Otherwise, your likelihood of a successful open relationship is going to decline significantly. What are the other issues you should be looking at? Well, there's some basic questions you want to talk about. Are we allowed to have sex more than once with other partners? Where can we have sex with other partners? How do we manage the scheduling? What if it interferes with our time together? Key questions to have long conversations about before you open it up. Let me give you a list of questions to think about. See if you're ready for an open relationship. If you can answer yes to these questions, you might be ready. Question number 1. Can I accept my partner's guidelines and limitations around an open relationship, even if his guidelines are more restrictive than my own? Can I track myself if I notice that I'm getting close to violating one of our agreed upon restrictions? Do I know how to do that? Do I know how to track myself and then withdraw if I'm getting close to that area? Am I comfortable telling my partner that I have these certain limits in how I would want him to have sex with others? Can I actually talk about that? Can I commit to not hurting my partner through this process? And if I accidentally do hurt his feelings, am I committed to the deep emotional repair that it will take to get through that together by listening deeply to his feelings? Does this sound like a lot of work? It is a lot of work. It's a commitment. If you want to dig more deeply into the topic, there is a good book on it. It's called The Ethical Slut. It's by Dawsey Easton and Catherine Litzt. You know, at the core of any good open relationship, it's similar to the same skills of a good closed relationship. We have to give our partner lots of positive regard, listen deeply to their feelings, share our own vulnerable feelings. These are important things that all good relationships need. Now, a closed relationship can kind of get away with perhaps not doing all of these things well. It might not be a terrific relationship, but it might be an okay relationship, even if we can't do some of those things. However, if you want an open relationship, you really do have to be good about talking about these difficult topics and processing those feelings. To be successful in this, gay couples are really going to have to lead the way in having intentional, open conversations about their relationships.